Yeah.
Ooh,
No, that was fucking awful.
that's just it. Oh, it's because of me. There we go. This is everybody at Able. You know it's sponsored by Coastal Studios and the Mag Juice. And it's the only place where you bring the topic. And it's your boy J Mac, and I'm always on point like a Sharpie.
Yo, and motherfucking Banks in the building.
Your favorite homegirl Mia is here.
Okay, y'all. And today's question is doo-doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo-doo. Is it colorism or is it a preference?
Why would you look at me?
That was she was you was the main one talking about it, so
I mean, I just kind of wanted to get you guys' perspective on is it really colorism? Because I seen on Twitter where this girl was trying to get on this nigga ass because he was saying he didn't really want to talk to lighter skinned women. He wanted to talk to dark skinned women. And I was like, is that not a preference? And like, so the girl was saying he was colorist. And I was like, but he never said you was ugly. He just said he prefers to talk to darker skinned women. So I'm like, how is that colorism? You know, usually niggas that do colorism are like, yeah, this black ass bitch is ugly, and then they'll want to talk to the light skins and the white hoes. You know, they'll be real mean. So I'm trying to understand what's the difference between colorism and a preference.
I think I might be a colorist too though.
Oh my god.
But I'm just saying. But I think that instantly when you think colorist, you instantly think of like dark skinned people being the victim. And you don't never think of somebody being colorist towards somebody light skinned.
Right.
When I think white people, I mean, I ain't gonna say white. Damn, I said white people. I think light skinned people get just as much criticism as dark skinned women.
But do they though?
On my end, I would say yeah. I know I criticize them just as much.
But
as
I'm saying, like, when you get on the internet, most men, when they're reposting the Instagram baddies, most of them are lighter skinned. They're not really posting the darker skinned ones a lot.
Which I agree with you. I'm gonna say that majority of the social media, you're gonna see is majority of light skinned women, and I say that because I'll be the martyr right here. I would say that. Like, majority of my timeline, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, or Twitter, it's majority light-skinned women. But, like, if I'm in public, majority of the time, I'm going to choose somebody like my tone or darker. Mm-hmm. Majority.
But how does that make you colorist, though? Because how is that just not your preference?
Because I think colorism is based off an idea that you are excluding one other color because you like the other one better, or you think the other is better.
I don't know. I think colorism is based off like that as a whole. Like, I'm not gonna mess with this black person. Well, I'm not gonna mess with this dark skinned person because how the other dark skinned people treated me, type shit. I think that's more like colorism.
Oh, like you said, like they got bullied by people of a certain skin tone, so therefore they're not going to associate with said skin tone. Okay.
I think that's more like colorism to me.
I always thought it was like a caste system. Like when you think colorism, you automatically think that white flight. So of course they say light skinned people would be at the top of it. And when you think somebody's a colorist, you instantly think hair, how you talk, what you wear, because they always deem light skinned people to be better than everybody else.
Right.
So I think we always assume when somebody say colorism, we instantly thinking, oh, you trying to say light-skinned people better than dark-skinned people.
But I just feel like there's a fine line between colorism and a preference. Because, I mean, like you said, you prefer to talk to women who are of your skin tone or darker. I don't see anything wrong with that. Like, I don't understand how that would make you a colorist because you have a preference. You're not saying that the light-skinned women are ugly. That's just not what you really want to talk to.
And don't get me wrong, I like light-skinned women too. I like all women. Don't take what I'm saying as a...
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Don't hold it against me.
Oh, my God. Make sure you add a clink.
But I mean, back then, like more like middle school type shit. I used to tell myself I ain't talking to no dark skinned women. So I would say yeah, back then I was a colorist because I ain't gonna say why I wouldn't talk to no dark skinned women because I don't want to get cut off or bashed because of this shit. But
I was gonna say my
as
assumption would be, as the stigma stands, most people did not like women and men of darker skin tones just simply because that was the stigma that was set in society.
yeah, we're gonna say that.
And I think one thing we gotta stop associating with a motherfucker being somebody being light skinned does not make them more attractive.
Yeah, we gotta let that one rest.
Yeah, as I got older. And I started like looking past that shit. I'm like, damn, I really used to do that shit. Like that shit was dumb as hell. Like now for me, it's just like if you bad, you bad type shit. Like it ain't no color on this shit. Like I just find it very crazy when people say something about colorism. They instantly defend the darker people, and you don't even mention darker people. Like you just automatically assume like, oh, they hate black women and shit like that. Like I hate how it's like that.
I mean, they're always going to assume that because that's what's predetermined or preset by society for people to. When you talk about colorism, you're immediately like, yeah, it's dark skinned people.
Yeah.
You're talking about dark skinned people. Nobody ever thinks about it. And like that one girl that was talking about reverse colorism on Twitter, she kind of lost me because I was like, I don't understand what point you're trying to make with this.
I think it's like pretty privilege almost, if I'm being honest.
I mean, but pretty privilege is going to exist.
If I'm being honest.
Do you think it's like that because, like with the colorism shit and the dark people, do you think it's like that because they think the light-skinned people are more closer to Caucasian people?
I mean, that would be my assumption.
Say it again.
Do you think it's like that with colorism with dark-skinned people because they feel like light-skinned people are more close to, well, their skin complexion more close to a Caucasian person?
Them being white.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that.
Well, I mean, if we took it back to the olden days, I mean, if you were of a lighter skin tone, you was a house nigga,
Which that's where colorism comes from, essentially.
So I mean, it's like if you were darker than a certain amount, you outside. They're not fucking with you like at all. So it's like.
And I think back then we really was in that era of that's the skinny girl era where folks like. Skinny girl, and we was in the era of, I ain't gonna say white flight, but like, cause we weren't white flight, but it was like
the video vixens were, a majority of them were lighter skinned. Like there were very few
red bone,
yeah, there were very
shit.
few dark skinned ones.
That we was for sure on. Yeah, she a yellow bone, she red, blah 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 blah. Yeah, now not so much.
And I mean, I kind of like the fact that we don't really say that anymore because I always used to feel like what the fuck is a red bone, what the fuck is a yellow bone, who the fuck came up with this?
Hey, you know who came up with it? I like a long head, thick red bone. Stop playing. Stop playing.
Lil Wayne didn't come up with that shit. What the fuck is he talking about?
No, I'm saying like you heard that, you be like,
you too close.
You heard that, you be like, damn, okay, type shit.
But that was, I don't know. I think it's just what we were portrayed in the media because most of them that was shaking ass in the videos were definitely lighter skinned or mixed race or ambiguous as fuck. So
what would you say your preference is?
So my preference for me, I'm not really into the lighter skinned men. It's just never been a thing for me. Don't get me wrong. Like,
so your colors?
No.
Yeah.
Because I have talked to men who are lighter skinned that I actually really like.
But your main reason was
no.
You brought up his skin color, so that
right.
makes you a colorist.
That doesn't make me a colorist. He asked me what my preference was.
You could have said something else other than his skin tone. But
damn, Aunt, you didn't let me finish.
Okay.
I thought we were still on colors. I didn't know you meant like what is my preference in general.
No, what was your preference in general? I think that's crazy though, because the first thing you do say is skin tone.
Well, that's what we always default to, though.
You get what I'm saying, though?
I feel what you're saying.
Yeah. That's what we always default to, though, as a society. So it's like, are we all colorists? Is that the question?
I think naturally though, and I think people forget about this. Well, I'm gonna just say heterosexual people because I know other people gonna be mad at me for saying this. But I think you automatically think about your mate and like what type of children you will be making. So I think like in your mind, you like naturally internalize and pick people based off of how you think y'all will produce children.
Okay, I can see that. I've actually never sat and thought like our baby would be this color. I mean, but
No, it's actually a
or
study.
our baby would look this certain type of way. It's a study about that.
It's a study about that birth control makes women pick the wrong men because it suppresses your hormones and it makes you end up picking somebody that you wouldn't normally pick. So after you get off of the birth control, you convert back to who you normally are, and that's not you're not gonna pick him. Because it's something about pheromones and smells, and so basically what you would naturally do as a woman is you would pick another male who has the opposite immune system of you based off of how he smells, so you can make a child that can have the proper immune system to balance on some crazy shit.
I never heard of that.
I
shit.
never knew that.
Mm-hmm.
You just put me on. That make me interested. I need to go read about this.
So the people you pick is way deeper in your subconscious than you really believe.
Because, I mean, they always try to say you pick certain people based on what you grew up around. So you're going to pick someone who's similar to your opposite sex parent, usually. If you have a good relationship with them, you're going to pick someone close to that.
No, I think it's more science.
It's more science.
It's
probably more science, but
So you think it's more science when you like look into a person and want to be with them type shit?
Nah.
Instead of it like
That's a mental thing.
Yeah,
that's for sure. That's a thing.
I would assume that the type of person that you pick, I just kind of base it off your environment, which technically has something to do with science. Technically,
No, for real.
That your environment is what based you what gives you the idea to do certain things. But then when I find it a little weird when the people who like the niggas who don't like darker skinned women and their mama is dark skinned, that shit really confuses me a little bit because I'm not sure why you feel that way, and your mother and your father and your sister and your brother are literally this similar color, but you won't talk to someone of that color.
But they're not attracted to their parents though.
You're not supposed to be attracted to your parents. I'm saying like if you basing it off your environment.
You gotta scoop back.
I don't get it though. Like what you just trying to.
I'm saying like, okay, so if you're basing it off of your environment, like for me personally, most of the men that I've talked to, they're very similar in skin tone to myself and my daddy. It's just what I've picked out. We're pretty similar in skin tone, or it'll be darker, like closer to my granddad's color. So that's just kind of what I've always done. So it's like, I don't know if it's a thing where it's like, is it because this is my environment, or if it's a psychological thing like Jeremiah was just explaining, the reason why I chose this said person.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm on the spectrum when it comes to skin tone, but majority of the time, I feel like the girls I like the most were always dark skinned.
Yeah. Like, I've talked to people of all colors, but it's like most of them that I really actually liked for real were darker. So it's like, not to say, you could find somebody that's the exact opposite, but as for my preferences, honestly and truly, I'm still trying to sort that out. Even when it comes down to just like personality traits. Like, I like men who actually have good relationships with their parents. I like those. Because there's a lot of them that don't. And that's really one of the main preferences that I usually go for, are people who have those good relationships. Because if you don't have a good relationship with your parents, I feel like it's something is missing. And it's just not going to work out well for me. But like all the rest of this stuff is kind of up in the air.
Something in the ticker.
Yeah, something's not clicking up here.
So, Aunt, what would your preferences be? I know you got to tread lightly, but...
I mean, you technically... Well...
Yeah.
I mean, if you bad, you bad, basically.
So, so in his mind... Well, Ant really doesn't have a type, though. So, I mean, if we're going to be realistic, he really doesn't.
No,
if you think about it, if you think about it from...
I bet if we sat down and looked at it, all of them have something in common.
I just don't see what it would be. It must be something personality-wise, because it's not look-wise.
From the ones I've seen, the personalities are for
It's
sure on
personality.
par.
Okay.
Personalities are for sure on par.
Cause I think y'all be looking at me like I'm crazy when I show y'all the people I be talking to, cause y'all don't never know what's going on.
Well, yeah, you're right. It's personality for me.
For sure, personality for him.
Okay.
I think that's about the only thing though. Personality. Yeah. That's the only thing.
I don't know. With you, it's kind of like demeanor.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
It's demeanor for you.
This for sure her presence. She need to for sure have a presence. She can't
Exactly.
be right now being girl number 3, number 5.
She has to be girl number 1. Huh?
Of course.
She gotta walk in there mean as hell.
She gotta be the it girl.
But I mean, that's a preference though. See?
Yeah, for me, yeah.
That's a preference.
But that's because when I'm not being whatever J Mac is, when I'm not being that, when I'm being fucking Jeremiah,
when you're being Jeremiah, not being
I'm really fucking calm and like passive and shit.
You really are like Drake. Drake is J Mac and Aubrey is Jeremiah.
Look at that.
Yeah. When I feel like it's reasons like what we just said, then that's a preference. But when you go to like immediately talking about skin color, you just a colorist. To me, that's how I look at it.
I mean, but does that make everybody a colorist though?
If you
like,
going straight
seriously.
in the skin color,
Yeah,
that's how I feel.
If you, I mean, which is fucking nuts for a motherfucker to be like, bro, I only like Dominicans. What the fuck?
that's not a color. That's
But most when you instantly
nationality.
think Dominican, what you thinking?
light skin.
Light skin.
Even though there are dark skin.
Latina looking.
Yeah, there's
But mostly is light skin.
Oh, well,
Latina
yeah.
looking.
Yeah, that's true. You don't. Most people aren't talking about the Afro Dominicans. You know, the darker skin. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Not you on par.
I guarantee you.
Friend.
If a nigga say he want Dominican, he not thinking about no dark skinned Dominican.
No.
I promise he not.
Hell no.
He not.
When you exactly, cause when you say Dominican, what the first thing pop in your brain? Poop. I can see some shit right now.
Yeah.
Wavy hair.
Yeah.
Got a little tone to it, but she's still a little pink.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thick.
But see, I guess that makes everybody a colorist then.
I mean,
Like
you have like default prerequisites of what you expect somebody to be. Like if a bitch tell you she only like NBA players, and then you see the bitch with Chris Paul, you kind of like, huh?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Cause Chris Paul ain't shit, but like 5'10", you know what I'm saying? Like this is just a normal motherfucker.
But he's still a player.
He is, but you wouldn't.
He fits in the criteria.
If you don't know who Chris Paul is, and Chris Paul is just walking in a group of people, this just looks like a normal motherfucker.
Right, but because he's an NBA player, that put him a bit above everyone else,
Facts.
even though he regular.
He's normal, but if you see if a girl say instantly I want a basketball player, you thinking he's some 6'7" nigga.
Yep.
Oh,
you know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
But like, is that really us though, or is that something that's been taught to us? I feel like that's something that we've been taught because we all have the same thing when you say that.
We have been taught to associate things with things so you can understand.
Right.
And since you always want to have an understanding, your association is generalized so everybody can have a general understanding.
Like we're all on the same page.
Facts.
So it's like we are colorists as a society. Like, and at this point, I don't know how we can really get away from that.
We'll cover it not just as this society, it's like globally.
Oh, globally.
Because how else do you understand?
True. Yeah. I just still find that wild though.
What?
That we all are colored. Like I'm really stuck on that because it's like that is really taking me that we are actually all colorists. Like it ain't even no way to.
In some way or some form, we are colors, whether we like it or not.
I'm cool with it.
Well, of course you are.
I'm cool with
You
it.
always ready to get on the heel about what you said.
I'm cool, bro. Like I'm cool. Like and I'm always riding for dark skinned women too. I ain't gonna lie. Because.
But have you always done that, or is that something
No.
that you've just done recently?
I wouldn't say recently.
Like in the past, 10 years.
Well, first
Like from
off,
18 to 25, which is now. Like 18 to 25, we're gonna stick to adulthood. Like that's when you started vouching for the team.
One, I never really realized that that's what my preference was until I'm just like, hey, hold on. All the girls I ever really liked were this skin tone. Well,
Right.
besides 2. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But the other girls, I think I just wanted them because one, they, you know, what we
They
just
looked
said.
a certain type
She
of
was
way.
the it girl, of
Uh-huh.
course. I think the it girl is like number one for me. Like body type and then it girl, those are
They
like
go hand in hand.
hand in hand.
Oh my god.
Then skin tone is just
The skin tone is just there. That's what I'm saying. I feel like with colorism, like you can really forget about that if they meet, just like you said, if they meet your certain criteria that are more physical, you don't even give a shit about that. It just kind of dissipates into nothingness. Like it's like, oh, she might be light skinned, and I don't really usually talk to light skins, but she a it girl. Fuck it. Like it's like fuck it.
of course. I mean, but I just name like for me it's personality and physical, like how they look, like their body shape, majority of it.
Yeah.
Because if you the it girl, we already know what the face look like.
Mm-hmm.
So that leaves us to say the people that be against colorism, are they really colorists?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because they're basically going to disguise it as a preference.
Yeah, because when we talk about colorism and then they go to defending the darker people, they gonna end up saying something about the lighter people.
Yeah.
In the midst of that, and that's gonna make them. That basically makes them a colorist too.
But I mean, you have to be a color. To acknowledge that colorism exists, you have to be a colorist because you have to understand that it exists.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't think people understand that acknowledging it makes you a colorist.
I mean, but
it's also in conversation, just like Ann said, when you're trying to raise one up, you're going to put one down to make your point seem more valid.
I mean, I think that's like, well, is colorism in the same category as racism?
Yes. It's in the same category.
Because then that means... Because if so, because, you know, racism is not a double-edged sword. Like, because it's about who's in control.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, for us to say race, you know what I'm saying, white people can only be racist because they're the majority. So I guess, are we saying that you can only be colorist if you talk about dark-skinned women because over this period of time, we've always put light-skinned people on this pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no reverse colorism because we've always done it like this.
Right. Yeah. So white people are colors.
I mean, they created a system, of course.
Yeah, they created colorism.
So, because racism would be one, and then the caste system coming down from racism would be colorism. So, like, if racism exists as in only a plane where white people can live, colorism probably only exists on the plane where it exists of light skin versus dark skin. And light skin is put on a pedestal versus being dark skinned.
I never looked at it like that.
I never looked at it like that either. That's a nice breakdown, Jeremiah. I give you props for that.
I was asking a question, but I guess if y'all think it sounds good, it
makes
sounds
sense.
good.
It
to
makes
me.
sense what you're saying. Like, it's completely sound to say that racism and colorism essentially go hand in hand because they essentially created the system of what that is. But I don't think people see them as being the same because white people don't really talk about colorism. We do.
Right.
We do. They don't.
That's because their colorism is different from ours. Where
Yeah.
ours is skin tone, theirs is hair color.
What do you mean?
So, like how we discriminate from each other is
light skin versus
light skin, dark skin, what tone you use. The white people are like redhead, blonde, brunette. Blondes are dumb. Redheads are aggressive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Assholes, dicks, whatever
Yeah.
they say. They don't really have black hair, but if they dye it, it's black. But you know what I'm saying? That's how they discriminate amongst themselves.
So basically, they have their form of color. There's a form of colorism that exists within them. We just don't know about it because we aren't them.
Right, because we don't have their caste system.
Wow.
Blonde hair, blue eyes, that's the best. You know what I'm saying?
According to Hitler.
Yeah, because we always hear about if you a blonde, you dumb as shit.
Yeah.
You don't know anything. It's like we go in one ear, out the other one. The redheads are pretty feisty. They might be a little outgoing, might be, popping it a little bit more than the other girls.
Then if you light skin, you bad, and if you dark skin, you just plain flat out ghetto.
Yeah.
And see, that's the thing. Like, I think in all cultures that consist of like black and white, like for us, because we from America, we split as white people and, you know, black people essentially in slavery. So I think we instantly think of light skin and dark skin because that's how our culture is.
Yeah.
Right.
But for somebody like in South America where they're all together, or somebody in Mexico where their caste system is based off how light you are to how dark you are, it's different.
Mm-hmm. So, wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah. At this point, you guys, apparently we're all colorists. I mean, hey.
Ain't too far. Look, this is Everrrybody Ain't Able. You know, we're sponsored by CoStar Studios and the Mag Juice. And it's the only place where you can say whatever the fuck you want to say. And it's your boy J Mac, and I'm always on point like a Sharpie.
And motherfucking Banks in the building.
Your favorite homegirl, Mia.
And y'all know we just gonna take a little toast to everybody not being able to say what they want to say.
I was a little too fast. I'm sorry. Excuse me?
I need someone to help me, help me. I know that you can't feel me, feel me. When you meet the real me it's something that you can't see, can't see. I need someone to help me, help me. I know that you can't feel me, feel me. When you meet the real me it's something that you can't see.